So let's talk about Horizon Chase Turbo, since I never really talked about this game on my YouTube channel. Now, you may have read the title of this video, obviously, and it does say I'm not really a fan of this game, and that is true, and I'm going to explain why I'm not really a fan of this game for me personally. But basically, if you don't know anything about this game is a racing game, and this game harkens back to the old Outrun days, or if you ever played any of the Top Gear games on Super Nintendo, then you'll definitely feel right at home playing this game. But anyway, let's go ahead and go over this game. So I'm going to go over all the elements of this game, and it does have a lot to offer when it comes to racing games, and this game is a multi-platform release as well, so it's on the Nintendo Switch, the Xbox One, and the PS4 when it comes to games. So you can pretty much get this on every single platform out there. And also, on another side note, I do know this for a factor, this game was originally a mobile game. So if you go to the App Store or the Google Play Store, you can find this game and you can download this game for yourself. But either way, here is the game right here. You have a whole bunch of different modes. You have World Tour, you have Playground, you have tournaments, and then you have options. I guess I don't have the endurance mode, I think it's called, because I guess I didn't play too much of this game. I literally have, like, I think 10 hours into this game, so that pretty much shows you how long I have invested in this game, and honestly, this game is just not for me. So you have your standard World Tour mode, where you pretty much just go from city to city, kind of like a Grand Prix. If you ever played things like Mario Kart or other racing games, it's pretty much just a Grand Prix, and you just try to unlock cars, unlock vehicles, race, and things like that. And then you do have your Playground mode, and your Playground mode is where you do a whole bunch of different challenges. And then tournament is just what it says. You do, I think, races of 4, and you try to see who has the most positions, who has the most points. I do believe it kind of works like Mario Kart in the Grand Prix mode. Whoever has the most points at the end of 4 races pretty much wins the races. So let's go ahead and go into World Tour. You can see I do have a whole bunch of different races I have played right here. Let's just go into my current one, Brazil. So there's the map, and here's all the races that I currently played when it comes to this. You can see there are different trophies you can win. You can see you have all these different cities like Salvador, if I can, Brasilia, I think it's called. Sorry if I butchered that name, but anyway, here's all the different tracks when it comes to the game. You just pretty much just click on one, and then it tells you the stats of the actual racetrack. You can see the racetrack on the actual screen. You can see parts installed, because this game, one nice thing about it is the fact that this game does actually have a lot of customization options when it comes to the actual race cars in the game. So if you're a big fan of customizing your cars, customizing the color of your cars, installing part upgrades like different specs and things like that, then you're definitely gonna love this game. That's who they're really trying to market. But I still think this is more of an arcadey racer when you boil things down to the simplistic nature of this actual game. So let's just go ahead and go into this race. You can see there is a whole bunch of different cars to unlock, which I have yet to unlock everything in the game, since I'm not really too big a fan of this game. The nice thing about this game for me personally is I didn't pay full price for this game, and honestly, if you were to ask me, I personally don't think this game is worth full price, in my opinion. Of course, these are just my thoughts and opinions on this game. I think this game is marked at $20 for the release of this game in America, and honestly, I think that's just a little bit too expensive for what you're getting. Personally, for me, I'd be okay if this game was $15 or $12. You always have to take in consideration what type of other games you can pay for the same amount of money this game is going for, and I think there's a lot of good $20 to $15 price ranged indie games that have a lot more content and a lot more value. I know you can't really compare them because they're not racing games, but that's just me, and I think that there's not too much to offer. But let me just go ahead and pick one of these cars. You can see that these cars do have stats, of course: top speed, acceleration, handling, fuel, and nitro. And then at the bottom of the screen, you can see 3 upgrades installed. You do get to choose your own upgrades. It's a very simple upgrading system. It's nothing crazy like a Gran Turismo or a Forza Motorsport or anything like that. It's very bare bones, but at least you do have the options to actually upgrade your cars. You can see, going back to the stats really quickly of the cars: top speed, acceleration, handling, fuel, and nitro. You can actually see the red line means that it came like that from the actual game, and the blue line means those are the actual parts that made the stats actually slightly better. So let me just go ahead and pick this car right now, and then let's actually go into the actual normal racing when it comes to this game. Okay, so you can see I'm in one of the races in this game. You can see everything this game has to offer. And the one cool thing about this game is, or maybe not cool thing about this game, is the fact that this game does rely on actual gasoline. So your car can actually run out of gasoline. So that's something that's kind of interesting for this game. Is it necessarily unique? No, probably not, because I'm sure other racing games around retro video games and things like that probably had this system implemented, but it is nice. You do have to watch your fuel gauge on the top right. I know I'm not racing the best as well, but that's because I am talking and playing at the same time. I'm really just trying to show you what this game has to offer. And then of course, right by the fuel gauge on the top right, you do actually have NOS. And let me go ahead and use my boost just like Mario Kart with the mushrooms and stuff like that. So you do have a limited number of NOS you can use each race, so you do have to use it sparingly and try to figure out the best place to actually use the NOS. And then on top of that, you can get more NOS bottles on the road, as same as the gasoline, so you're never pretty much out of gasoline or never pretty much out of NOS. You just gotta find those pickups on the actual racetrack. And when it comes to the actual racing, like I said before, this really does play like something like your typical Outrun game. If you ever played Outrun, if you ever played Top Gear, you'll definitely feel right at home. That was pretty much the inspiration for this game. They really wanted to harken back to the days of the old 8-bit, the old 16-bit consoles, and really make you feel like you're back at home playing one of those games. And pretty much every course in the game kind of looks pretty similar to one another. You've seen this track, you've seen the background, but they're all just slight variations of one another. And the nice thing about this game, I do have to admit, which is really nice, is the fact that when you actually drive, you can pretty much drive at full speed. It may look like you're going super fast in this game, but for the most part, you can drive at full speed. There I go, hitting a whole bunch of signs on the road, but for the most part, you don't really have to brake all too much, and you can hit those hairpin turns pretty easily. Let's go ahead and show you another track in the actual game. Like I said, I know I'm driving really bad in this video, but I'm just trying to show you how the game actually plays. I'm not really trying to concentrate all too much. Let's go ahead and go to let's actually back out of this. You kind of get the drift of that mode. You just play different cities. You try to get different points. After you get a number of trophies and things like that, you do unlock cars in this game, unlock parts and things like that. Let's actually go into a Playground and see what Playground has to offer. Another thing about this game that is kind of cool, they do have these little events once in a while, and you can see on screen right now, they do have an event for this game. It's called Race Against the Machine. You can see it says Race Against the Machine. Don't expect happy endings, bro. Prepare to lose. This season is really unfair. They have things like seasons, kind of like Fortnite as far as I'm aware, and you can see there is different races to race. So I'm just gonna go pick this one. It says difficulty is 1. Let me go ahead and pick a different car for you to demo out. I think I'm gonna use the one that looks kind of like SUV, like a family would use. So let's go ahead and use that one right there. But I didn't actually talk about why I'm not really a big fan of this game. So let's go ahead and talk about why I'm not a big fan of this game. Now, I know I may get some hate for this because I know a lot of people actually like this game. And if you look at some of the scores for this game, most of the scores for this game are very positive. It has like 8s, 8.5s, some 9s. A lot of people just love it because it's simple, it's not broken, it's very fun to race. I will agree, everything that they say about this game is spot on. I can't really say anything bad about this game because there is nothing bad about this game. It's your average racing game, and especially if you're a person on the Nintendo Switch specifically who plays on the Nintendo Switch platform, I will have to admit there's not a lot of racing games, so this may be one you may want to look into. But honestly, like I said before, going back earlier in the video, I would personally wait until this game gets a drop, because that's how I bought this game. I bought this on a crazy sale. I think at the time of me buying this game, they were doing a 1-year anniversary sale, and I got this game for, no joke, $8 only. And at that point, I was like, yep, I'm gonna pay $8 for this game. But the main reason I don't like this game personally, first of all, I'm not too big on the soundtrack. I will admit the soundtrack's pretty good, but for me, it doesn't blow me out the water or anything. And a lot of games, you really have, for me to really like it, I really need a really kicking soundtrack. And in this game, I feel like I don't really have a really strong soundtrack that really helps me continue on playing. That's just me, but it is a very nice soundtrack. I don't know if you heard the soundtrack because I tried to keep the volume somewhat low just due to copyright infringement reasons. I'm not sure how the devs would want me to record their audio in game, so you may not hear it, but it's not a bad soundtrack. Not amazing, not mind-blowing, just an okay soundtrack in my opinion. And then the one thing that really kills this game for me is that it's too simple in principle. You can see on screen all it is racing down the street. You have nitrous, you have other cars on the street, you just gotta try to get into first place, and that's pretty much all this game revolves around. And honestly, that's the big problem here. It's too simple in nature. All the tracks look too similar. It's a little bit too boring. So you can see everything just ramps up for me, and it's just a little bit too basic and a little bit too boring for me. But I do understand why so many people like this game. This game is a simple but fun racing game, and you can't go wrong with this game. Like I said, I'm just not a fan of everything, and on top of that, the racetracks start looking a little bit too similar to one another. I will admit the graphics of the game do look pretty clean for like a 16-bit throwback game that's supposed to harken back to the days of Outrun, harken back to the days of the old Super Nintendo with things like Top Gear and things like that. But honestly, this game just speaks to me the wrong way. It's not a bad game. It's just one of those games where maybe you're not a fan of it, but it's a very popular game, and I know a lot of people like this game. I'm gonna go ahead and drive a little bit more of the racing. I'm gonna go ahead and pick this car, and I will try this racetrack again, or whatever race I'm actually playing at the moment. I'll give this another go. But yeah, you can see this is a Horizon Turbo Chase, I think it's called. This game does have a lot to offer. It's just not for me. One thing I do want to point out about this game, which I didn't cover yet, is the fact that also one thing that killed this game for me is personally this game has no online whatsoever, so you are going to be stuck with playing whatever the game has to offer. Now you do have time attack or time scores. You can compare your scores with other people around the world or other people on your Nintendo Switch friends list, because the one you're currently watching me play is the Nintendo Switch version of the game. But most of the versions of this game looks identical, because of course the Nintendo Switch, although it is underpowered, it's pretty much spot on when you compare this to things like the PS4 and the Xbox One version of this game. Also, I do know this for a factor: if you want to try out a demo of this game, you can try out a demo of this game, at least on PS4. I'm not sure about Xbox. I know Switch doesn't have a demo as far as I'm aware, but PS4 and Xbox One, I think, do have a demo of this game if you want to try this game for yourself to see if this is something that you were liking. But most likely you can tell off this video whether you like it or not. It's just your standard racing game, and that's pretty much it. I would say, although it is bare bones in the actual racing, it does have a lot to offer in other departments, and I can see why so many people actually love this game. But it is what it is. It's just not a game that I ever really truly enjoyed, but it is what it is. I only paid $8 for this game, and again, this is Horizon Turbo Chase, I do believe, and this one you're watching is the Nintendo Switch version. Anyway, guys, this is Wayne from My Tech News, signing out.